Alright you guys, Murdoch Rumble, second part of the video. First part we went over basically how I wrap my coil and now we're basically going to go over, finish setting it up, testing for hot spots, and filling it up and seeing how she vapes. So here she is. I took the wicks out. See if I can. There you go. So they don't have to be pretty. I mean, that's the thing, is a lot of people are like, yeah, pretty. No, I mean, it's as long as it works. Now, I've got it on a regulated device. This is variable voltage. It goes up to 20 volts. It's a DNA 20 chip in there from Evolve. And the first thing we're going to do is basically fire this coil without the wick in there, because what we want to do is build up a layer of oxidation on the wick, and if you crank more power through it, it's going to oxidize faster. So I know with a mechanical mod, a lot of times when you're doing this, you want to have the more drained battery, especially when you're looking for hot spots, but this part works better with a fully charged battery or a regulated mod or regulated variable voltage, variable wattage device. Now if you see I'm pulsing it, it's because, especially with this high voltage, there is a potential of it popping still. But as you can see, it looks like one coil heats up a little bit faster than the other, but all in all, it all heats up fairly quick, fairly evenly. And that's what we're looking for. Okay? Now, you can sit here and do this for a while, do it a couple times, it really doesn't matter. Alright, and before I forget, I'm going to change my voltage or wattage down to my lowest setting. So, and you will see a noticeable difference in how fast it heats up. So, alright, and then at this point, you're basically going to take your wick. Now, you want these wicks dry when you do this. Generally I make my wicks fatter on one end, so if it doesn't start to fit in, then I'll flip it around, and if it still won't fit in, give it another roll. Okay. And you want to slowly work it in, because what you don't want to do is you've basically oxidized the inside of the coil. You don't want to knock off all of that oxidation, so I mean that would be completely pointless. Okay. And I found, obviously, sometimes twisting helps it in a little bit. This one's being a little bit stubborn. Now, like I said, if you have to force it, it's obviously getting hung up on something. So pull it out, figure out what it's getting hung up on, and take care of it, because all it's going to do is cause problems. Because if it's getting hung up on something, it's pushing. And yeah, so lowest setting. Now you're going to need something to poke with. A needle works great. Dental tool works great. Now, this is going to be a little hard for me because I got this stand in the way. So if you see me breathing, so I got a hot spot there. Do you see? Right there. Basically, wiggle, wiggle. Okay? Get my hand away from that coil. And you basically, that's still a hot spot. And sometimes this does take time. Other times it fires up, no problem. And it looks like this coil is going to be my treble coil. But basically, you just want to wiggle it around while heating it up. And of course this has a lock function. So you can also use your tool here. It doesn't really matter. Still. And you see, like, moving it around will cause one hot spot, and then poking at it will cause another hot spot. What you're really doing is building up the oxidation, basically. And this time it did not work too well. And you can't even see me. So this time did not work as well as before. But like I said, usually I vape or use a VG burned wicks, so this process is a little bit hard or quicker. And what's funny is that coil that was giving me a problem initially to start with is warming up just fine. Now it's this other coil. So basically what it boils down to is taking your time. And like I said, generally I do a VG burn on my wicks, which does forego a lot of this. So this is probably going to be a boring video for number 2, and I'm probably going to have to make a video number 3. So right now it's pretty much getting to where it needs to be. You can see it slowly glowing. Okay, but we're going to call that good, and we are going to go to video number 3.